Good day. Welcome to another edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. I'm Eric Gross, your host, along with Superintendent of Schools Anthony DiCarlo on another beautiful spring day. Beautiful spring day. More in masks because the governor has the executive order still in place, and unfortunately at this time, Putnam County has not been exempt. Social distancing, my friend, huh?
Yeah, I know. We talked about this probably since our last number of spotlights that we've done. And now we've come to a point in time, Eric, where we have to make some decisions on activities for our senior class, the class of 2020. Academic awards, athletic awards, and of course, graduation. So let's start off with graduation. And I can tell you, and the gentleman who's behind the scenes knows this, about a week and a half ago, myself, Frank Guglieri from Putnam, Northern Westchester BOCES, who does their health and safety for all the 18 component schools, Dr. Stowell, who's our health and safety coordinator, Michael Shore, who's our facilities manager, and Dr. Lawrence, who are out on the football field. Because our thinking was, if we can kind of, maintain social distancing, as you mentioned, knowing we cannot, no matter what, have all the kids graduate together. It's not possible. So we were looking at doing it a third, and a third over 3 nights, 130 students, being able to socially distance them on the football field on both sides of the 50, and then having the parents, staggered in the bleachers. We have local live right there. We would do it out like we normally do. And we thought we had a good plan. Well, we then spoke with the county executive and the state powers that be, and right now the governor's orders have not changed. You can't do that. That would be considered to be a gathering. You can't gather with those amount of people. You actually can't even do a party and gather, a birthday party. So in turn, we were told that if you do it, and it's like a drive-in style where people remain in cars, you may be able to figure something out. So what we decided to do is the following. Still has to be 3 nights. We can't have everybody together. And we know the kids would all like to be together, so what we came up with was the following idea, Eric, is to have a parade before the actual graduation where the students and their families would be in one car, kids dressed in their caps and gowns, would meet down at the Mahopac Falls Fire Department, process up to 6N, and then make a right on Baldwin.
Right.
And from the time you get to Baldwin, you would parallel park cars, teachers, other classmates with cars decorated, and then the kids and their families would process through the middle school, the parking lot behind the football field,
Right.
in front of the high school, down and back of the high school, and come up through the back field, the grass field, and then park, like you were at a movie theater, and have about 5 rows of 20, 5.5 rows of 20. We would have the dais, a little bit up, and Stas will work on that so that everybody could see us, so we're not at the same level. We'd have like a normal kind of a ceremony. The Val and Sal would speak, Dr. Lawrence will speak, I'd speak. We'd have the assistant principals on each side announcing the kids. The kids would then, step outside their car, their name would be called. We can't exchange the jacket, but they can come up to a table, pick their jacket up, come to the front, have a photo op of it, and it would also be live streamed, and then go back to your car. So we would be able to do that, over the 3 nights. Everybody would get to graduate. And, it's to the best that we can do. And I have to tell you something. I'm not going to get into what other districts are doing. Believe me, what we're looking to do is far more than a virtual. The kids don't want it.
No.
The kids want to be together to the best they can. And Dr. Lawrence laid this plan out, and the kids were happy that they were at least getting to be together with one another. And then the nights they're not graduating, right, you can at least be, clapping and encouraging and acknowledging your other classmates. So that's for graduation. For the academic ceremony and athletics.
1 second.
Sure.
What happens if it rains?
We have 2 weeks blocked out. We have the week of March 15th and March 22nd. Right now, it's the 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Okay.
And then Dr. Lawrence has worked out rain dates so
Okay.
that if it rains, We're not going to start bumping and not knowing what night. It's going to all be schematically. So we're telling parents, keep everything open for those 2 weeks of March 15th and March 22nd.
Okay, super.
Second piece
Yes.
is we're trying to work on very similar in the quote-unquote theater type of staying in cars, of doing something along those lines possibly in the front of the school for our academic awards and our athletic awards, where we would recognize students. Again, people would be in their cars, set up this way. We'd have a dais. Child's name is announced. They come up. They get their award or whatever, but they get all their awards at one time. So it's not going to be like we do one award and then you wait. Maybe you get the next. No, Eric Gross gets science, math, or whatever. Comes up once, gets acknowledged, and we move forward.
Okay.
So as you can see, Eric, we're really working as hard as we can. But I need to express to parents, we all understand we'd love to do the normal. We can't.
No.
This is a government executive order by the governor. Now, there are some people upset, and I can understand it, because there's really no uniformity. We can't do it the way we wanted to do it at 25%, but yet beaches are open this weekend at 50%. And people are asking me, what do I do? Listen, you have to write your local senator, your local assemblyman, and the governor as to, your concerns. It's not about Anthony DiCarlo. It's not about the superintendent. It's about me trying the best to make it as close to what a graduation would look like on the school grounds in a manner that I think is the best that we possibly can do.
As we said so many times over and over again, these are unprecedented times. And I know you want to remind the people out there, the social distancing is so important.
Yeah.
God forbid, if there is an increase of cases in the next couple of weeks, this will be out.
Correct. The Department of Health, every Monday, myself and my fellow superintendents are on a call. And they, Eric, were very clear about this. And we have a lot of students who are hanging out, at parks, on the trailway, playing basketball, football, other things. And if there starts to be an uptick and the county says, that's it, we're done. We can't do anything. And I don't want that to happen. So as the weather is getting nice, we understand that. But you have to, like we're doing, have your mask on, social distance, so that we can continue to flatten this and it does not interfere with some of the great things that we do have ready to go for our seniors in the next couple of weeks.
In the next couple of weeks is the budget vote. June 9th is the date. That's right. Not May 15th. It's June 9th this year. By mail. Which is another whole can of worms, another whole scenario that is unique to public education in New York State.
Yeah, we talked about this in last week's Spotlight, and we'll be meeting with our assistant superintendent, Sandra Cloesi, who's going to go over that. But you're right. I mean, on or about the 26th, the ballots will go out. I strongly suggest that people get them, fill them out, and get them in as soon as possible because, again, we have no control over the mail, and they have to be received by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th, to be counted.
And despite this, what do you hear about the budget? Great numbers besides. Sandra Cloesi, welcome to the program. So Anthony, an employee of the Mahopac Schools, probably almost as busy as you are, not quite, is the Assistant Superintendent of Schools for Business, Sandra Cloesi. And Sandra's with us today. This budget, you're getting a little grayer by the minute.
Yes, I am. I am.
The Board of Education the other night adopted the budget.
Yes.
Tell our viewers something about it and how it turns out.
Well, I think the main part for our budget, which is very important, is that we've been able to maintain a program and extracurricular activities with this budget. It also has a tax rate increase of 1.66, which is phenomenal considering we started out at 2.96. So we worked on it very hard and things had come together to make us be able to get there. So don't confuse the budget to budget increase with the tax rate increase, because the budget to budget will tell you it's 2.18, but that's not the taxes you pay, it's 1.66 tax rate increase.
And that tax rate increase on the average home, say, of $300,000 will be how much?
The $300,000 is, what did I say? So it's $10 a month, so $120 a year.
Okay. $10 a month for a full education program which children in Mahopac have been accustomed to, as have their families.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we talked about last night and with the board is that we're really able to, and I want to thank the cabinet, I want to thank all the building principals, department chairs for really, really working hard on this in a very unique budget cycle that we've never seen before. And to be able to get this at 1.6 and to still offer the programs that we've come to expect over the last 3 years. You know, Eric, when I first started this 3 years ago, we talked about bringing Mayapack back to where we know it could be. And we had that great recession, and we just started to restore some of the programs and add to some of the things that we have for our kids. And we're able to still do that with this budget. So, it'll all be up to the taxpayer when the ballots come out over probably the end of next week. I think it's a responsible budget. What's also interesting, Eric, is you'll see that over the last 5 years, our tax increase on an average is 0.91. So this Board of Education and the leadership, at least 3 out of those 5 years, has been, I think, very fiscally responsible and our fiduciary responsibilities to the taxpayers to continue to have quality programs and yet do it at a level that the taxpayer can afford.
And yet, the children in Mayapack go on to higher education. Some of the finest schools in the country go on to the world of work, professionals, craftsmen. All this begins in the school.
Yeah, there's no question. And one of my charges upon becoming the superintendent, Eric, was to finally put together a roadmap for this district that we could look at from an academic point of view, a social emotional point of view, a security point of view, a hiring point of view, and then, of course, fiduciarily responsible, fiscally responsible. And we adopted that in 2018, and this budget continues to allow us to do some of the great initiatives that we've started 2 years ago.
Sandra, what are some of the highlights of the budget? And by the way, will the budget be sent out to residents, a budget brochure? How can people get information?
Yes, so the budget brochure will be sent out. We are finalizing it today, hopefully getting it into print tonight, and hopefully getting it out so we can mail it sometime next week. So you should have it, at the latest a week before the budget vote. So the highlights are that we've been able to keep our programs, that we've worked to keep the tax rate down. The 0.91 was, when I looked at that again, I haven't been with the district very long, so some of the information when I'm putting it together, I'm just learning it. So when I saw that 0.191 over 5 years, that is really a huge accomplishment for a district of this size and for the programs that are offered. So that's what I would say. Then the main pieces are the budget is whole, we've been able to keep our programs, and we are able to keep the tax rate low.
This year is, as Anthony has said many times, is so unique. One vote, mail-in vote.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if by some chance the budget goes down?
Well, unfortunately, if the budget goes down, we will have to go straight to a contingency budget.
A contingency budget.
Mm-hmm. Normally, the vote would have happened yesterday, and if the vote had failed, we would most likely put it up for a second time. That would happen the third week in June. But since this vote doesn't happen until June 9th, there isn't the amount of time to be able to do an absentee ballot vote in this fiscal year. And the governor really hasn't given any guidance to say that we can do a second vote. So we will be forced to implement a contingency budget where we have to follow certain rules and regulations. And certain things we must keep in the budget and certain things we must take out. And so that will all affect the programs that we offer. Because the first thing we're going to do is keep the health, the safety, the well-being of our students intact and as much of the instructional, educational programs as possible. So it's really those extras that get hit in a contingency budget. And it's very unfortunate. I did live through one as a parent, so I know what it feels like. It's something that you will notice the differences, even though they may be small. In some cases, you will notice the differences. I think one thing we should talk about when we talk about a contingency budget is athletics, because that has been brought up and people have asked the question, why can't we just have people pay for their athletics? And that's not legal.
It's not legal, Eric.
It should never happen.
1995, it cannot happen. And we've had some people ask questions about, well, why can't just the parents of kids who are athletes, who are in music or in band, pay for it on their own? You're not allowed to. What's also very interesting, it's important to understand, you go on a contingency budget, we're going to have to make more cuts. We're talking about class size. We're talking about programs. We're talking about extracurricular activities. But to further have a conversation that's even more possibly upsetting. You can go on contingency, but then the governor gets 3 opportunities this year to take more money away based on June 30th, looking at what the revenues have been for the state, December 31st, and then March 31st. So, we had people talk to us about, well, Mr. DiCarlo, you're saving some money because you don't have, buses running and fuel and the like. But we have to be very fiduciary responsible, because if we get cut, and Eric, it could be anywhere up to 20% cut. That's another $4 million. That's a lot of money, and we're talking about personnel, and then we're talking about class size, and then we're talking about programs. So, this is a very unique year. It's not just, okay, you pass the budget and everything's great. Yeah, we want to pass the budget and keep our programs, but we have to make sure that we are in the right fiscal framework, that if we do get cuts, that we have the cuts there to be able to absorb it. Because what you don't want to have happen, and what's happened in some of the state, come January, you have to cut teachers, and now your kid's class size was 20, and now it goes to 25 or 28, because we've had to cut teachers to make up for that difference. So it's trying to reach hit a moving target, which is not easy at all.
And to compound things, it's an absentee ballot on top of everything else.
It is.
Where residents will be getting in the mail a card. What is it? The card comes
The
first?
postcard comes first,
Right.
which will give all the details regarding the budget vote to happen on June 9th, and what you would need to do to be able to vote during that time. Normally, it is registered voters who are able to vote. We are sending this postcard to every eligible voter, who then could become a registered voter and qualified to vote.
And an eligible voter is a person 18 years of age or
Correct.
older, living within the district for a period of 30 days.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, we also strongly suggest, and we mentioned this in our last spotlight, as soon as you get the ballot, take a look at it
Yep.
and send it in. Because the post office cannot guarantee, after June 2nd, I didn't make this up, everybody, this was stated in a Aloha article last week, that after June 2nd, if you send it in, they cannot guarantee that it will be received by June 9th at 5 p.m., and that's the executive order. But if for some reason you forgot, something came up, and it's June 3rd, 4th, 7th, 8th, you can drop it off the day of June 9th from 9 to 5 at the high school in the guard booth. There'll be somebody there to take your ballot.
Okay.
But only on June 9th for some reason, if some things happen and you forgot to get it out.
That'll be the only location?
Only location.
Okay.
The guard shack at the high school at June 9th. Now, also, people are used to, Eric, you have the vote, you find out at 10 o'clock at night whether it passes. In this case, that may not, and most likely won't happen. It'll take at least into the next day to go through possibly 15, 18,000,
Will they be counted
things.
by hand?
They get scanned, but
They'll be
still,
scanned,
you can't.
okay.
You have to open them, and at the time they're scanned, and
No,
you know,
actually,
there
they-
could be thousands
honestly,
and thousands.
The envelopes will be scanned, so we know who votes,
Right.
but then we will have to count them by hand.
Yeah. So that's a lot.
Wow.
We will have tally sheets, and then those
So-
will be checked, so that's why it will take longer.
Maybe the second day.
Yeah. Well, we're
Maybe,
hoping.
yeah.
We're definitely.
That's why
hoping.
it will take
Yeah.
longer. So
But the
yes,
mo- But the most important thing is for people out there to vote. When that ballot comes in the mail, as Anthony said, take it out, look it over, fill it out, check off, yes, no, Board of Education candidates. What do we have? 4 candidates?
For 3 positions, correct.
4 for 3 seats. Check those off also and put it in the mail the next day.
And let's go back to the mail.
Yep.
So, again, we can say on or about, but we can't guarantee anything. So we're thinking as of now, on or about next week, probably next Tuesday, the ballots will be mailed out. So we're assuming at the end of next week, which would be 28th, 29th, and 30th, you'll be
Right.
receiving them. Okay? That's more or less the timeline. We're thinking of how that's going to happen. So then you would get them, and then, of course, fill them in and get them back to us as soon as you possibly can.
What happens if John Q. Public doesn't get a ballot and it's the day of the vote? Can they do anything?
You really, it's got to be by mail. They do not want things exchanged. That's the
Okay.
purpose of doing it. So no, that's why if you didn't receive something on or about that June 4th, 5th, then you should call up the district clerk, Melody LaRocca.
And then she will send another ballot out.
Yes, yes, or yes, correct.
Okay, all right. So again, if you don't get a ballot by the 4th or 5th of June, contact the school. Another one will be sent out to you.
Right, remember, every registered voter, it's logged in with the county, Board of Elections should be getting it,
Okay.
as well as anybody else who qualifies as a qualified voter.
Who would have ever thunk? Who would have ever thought
Yeah, very much so.
3 months ago that there'd be such chaos,
Yeah.
not only in the world, but when it comes to a school election?
Yeah, very much so, and very unique, and very,
Very unique.
complicated, and very complex.
Very unique.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So again, the message is get out and vote by checking off the ballot, put it in the mail, and mail it back to the school district. We thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
We'll be right back. You know, Anthony, it was talked about contact your state officials and your federal officials. Now it's the federal officials. The money's in Washington. And now will that money come into New York State? So you want people to make those phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, it's got to be at least a good month, maybe even more, that every single letter, and I correspond with the Mayapack community twice a week. I've had in there the contacts of our senators, to make sure Schumer and Gillibrand and our Congressman Maloney, that people write letters that explain the importance of, this horrible COVID-19, pandemic and the impact it's got on, New York State and its finances, because it boils down to, money for kids and to be able to fund our schools.
And if you don't want to write, make a phone call. Get a pencil out there. We'll wait a second till I get the pencil and paper. Call Sean Patrick Maloney, our congressman, 845-561-1259. 561 as the mask falls off again. 561-1259. Senator Charles Schumer can be reached at area code 518-431-4070. 518-431-4070. And Senator Gillibrand, also 518 area code, 431-0120. 431-0120. It's important that these people know and their officers know that the people in Mayapack are concerned about this.
It's the people of Mayapack, it's the students, it's the parents, it's the teachers all across the state of New York. Because, Eric, it was already mentioned last week, the first half already 14% down from last year. And we talked about that, and it could have a major impact on the education of our students here at Mayapack.
We talk about the budget vote. There's also the school board candidates. There are 4 candidates running for 3 seats. Ben DeLullo, we have Tana McCracken, Bill McMahon, and the incumbent Mike Simone. I know you want to thank those who decided against seeking re-election for their service.
Yeah, so Mark O'Connor is going to be stepping down and not running, and I just want to thank Mark. Mark has been an incredible school board member, very, very passionate about what's always best for kids academically, extracurricular activities, very, very passionate. He was one of the board members who wanted us to take a look at, selling the property at Lake Secor, which we were able to do. And, his service is definitely very much respected, and we want to thank Mark for all his years of service. And then, of course, we have our school board president over the last number of years, Leslie Mancuso, who's been stalwart in really wanting to get bring Mayapack back to its high accolades from many, many years ago. An advocate for students, academically, socially, emotionally, students with special needs and IEPs, making sure that they get the programs they're needed. I know she was instrumental in offering a lot of support for our students, especially at Mayapack High School. And that's been evidenced in the amount of our students that are receiving diplomas, not only, but advanced diplomas. And, we have one of the highest graduation rates in the area at 96%, which was one of the factors that gave us as a recognition high school this year for Mayapack, and her work, both out in front and behind the scenes over her many years of service is definitely very much recognized, and we want to thank both of them for their years of service to the Mayapack Central School District. It's not an easy job, Eric.
No.
it's not a paid job, and they're under a lot of scrutiny because, as you know, a lot of the tax dollars
Sure.
go towards, the schools. And you want to have high-quality schools, and both Leslie and Mark have worked to make that happen. As you saw in our presentation, over the
Yes.
last 5 years, a 0.91 tax levy increase is
Remarkable.
really, really, really remarkable.
If you want to find out more about the candidates, there's a Meet Your Candidates night.
Yeah, that's coming up next week, Eric, after our board adoption on the 28th, I believe it is.
Mhm.
Right after the board adoption, there'll be a session and question and answer for those 4 candidates. So don't
This-
forget, so when you get that ballot, it'll be the school board budget,
Right,
it'll be the library budget,
right.
and then it'll be choosing of the 3 candidates that'll serve on the school board starting in, July 1st of this coming year.
So once again, June 9th is the day. Budgets will be tabulated. They must be received by the district office by 5 o'clock, June 9th, on that Tuesday. Please, when you get the ballot in the mail, fill it out immediately, drop it back in the mail, and return it to the school. If you do not get a ballot by the 4th or the 5th of the month, then contact the school. Another ballot will be sent out. Very important.
Yeah, and then the next time we meet will be at a very interesting graduations
Yes.
coming up, which will, it'll still be exciting, and we're going to do everything, like I said previously, to make this as special as we can during these very unique times.
So for Superintendent of Schools Anthony DiCarlo, I'm Eric Gross. Stosh, we thank you for your invaluable assistance. Until next time, you've been watching an edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. Be safe, get out and vote by mail. Have yourselves a good one. Bye-bye now.
For more information, please visit our website, www.mayopac.k12.ny.us.